I have to make a confession. When I look at the bestseller lists
Mm-hmm.
or just my LinkedIn feed, I get exhausted.
Oh, I know what you mean.
It feels like we are just drowning in hacks.
Yeah.
You know, 5 weird tricks to double your output, how to manipulate your boss.
How to get rich by next Tuesday.
Exactly. It's all shortcuts.
It's the fast food version of self-improvement. It tastes good for a second, gives you that quick hit, but there's no real nourishment there.
Right. And I think that's why I was hesitant to cover today's book. We're doing Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly,
Let me guess, the title.
the title alone sounds like the grandfather of all clickbait. 7 Habits. It sounds like a checklist you'd stick on the fridge.
It's so ironic, isn't it? Because Covey is actually the antidote to that entire culture. But because the book is so famous, I mean, it sold, what, 40 million copies?
Nothing like that, yeah.
People think they know what's in it. They assume it's about, time management or organizing your calendar.
Guilty. I thought it was about how to squeeze more work into fewer hours. But after really digging in for this, I realized Covey isn't trying to make you faster. He's trying to rewire your entire brain.
That's the deep dive today. We're not here with a checklist. We are here to talk about an operating system upgrade. Covey makes this huge distinction between what he calls the personality ethic and the character ethic.
Okay, let's start there.
Yeah.
Because that personality ethic sounds like what 90% of modern advice is built on.
It is. It's the Band-Aid approach. It focuses on techniques. How to smile to get people to like you. How to fake interest. It's all public image, charisma.
Make it till you make it.
Exactly. And Covey's argument is that you can only fake it for so long. If there isn't a solid foundation, the whole thing just collapses. He contrasts that with the character ethic.
Which is what?
It's what people focused on for, the first 150 years of American history. Things like integrity, humility, courage, fairness.
So his argument is that you can't hack character.
You can't. You can't talk your way out of a problem you behaved your way into. Real effectiveness comes from who you are, not just the tricks you do.
I really like the map analogy he uses to explain this, the paradigm.
Yes, that's crucial. Imagine you want to find a location in, say, Chicago, but the map I gave you is actually a map of Detroit.
Okay.
You can work on your behavior, you can drive faster, you can have a super positive attitude, but it doesn't matter, does it?
No, because you're holding the wrong map. You'll never get there.
And Covey is saying most of us are walking around with the wrong map of human behavior.
A map that says, if I just learn the right trick, I can control my life.
And Covey says, no. The only way to change your situation is to change yourself. That's the paradigm shift.
That sounds daunting. It's a lot harder than learning a new Excel shortcut.
It is. That's why the book is structured as a journey. It's not a random list. It moves you from dependence.
I need you to take care of me.
Right. To independence, I can take care of myself. And finally, to interdependence.
We can do this better together.
And you can't skip steps. You cannot be effective with other people until you are first effective with yourself. You need the private victory before the public victory.
So let's get into that private victory, the get your own house in order phase.
Mm-hmm.
Habit 1, be proactive.
This is the absolute foundation. If you don't get this one, the other 6 they don't work.
But let me play devil's advocate here. Be proactive is such corporate jargon.
Mm-hmm.
It usually just means do it before your boss asks you to.
True. But Covey's definition is way more radical. He says being proactive means accepting that you are the programmer of your own life.
Yeah.
Your behavior is a function of your decisions, not your conditions.
Okay, hold on. Decisions, not conditions.
Yeah.
That sounds great on a motivational poster, but what if I get laid off? Or I get a scary medical diagnosis? Those are real conditions.
They are absolutely real. The pain is real. But Covey leans on Viktor Frankl here, the psychiatrist who survived the Nazi death camps.
Right.
Frankl realized that while they could control his entire environment, they could not control his response to it.
So it's about that gap.
There is a space between the stimulus, what happens to you, and your response. In that space lies your freedom. Being proactive means stepping into that space and choosing.
And most of us don't even see that space. We just react.
Exactly. We're reactive machines. He yelled at me, so I yelled back. The weather is bad, so I'm in a bad mood. A proactive person carries their own weather with them.
The 2 circles he talks about really help me visualize this. The circle of concern versus the circle of influence.
It's a great tool. Picture a big circle. That's your circle of concern. It's got everything you worry about, the economy, politics, what your neighbor is doing.
And most of that stuff I have zero control over.
Correct. Now, Inside that is a smaller circle, the circle of influence. This is what you can actually change. Your attitude, your skills, how you treat your family.
And reactive people just pour all their energy into that outer circle.
They do. They obsess over the news, complain about management, blame their parents. And you know what happens? Their circle of influence actually shrinks. They feel more helpless.
Because they're focusing on things they can't change.
But proactive people focus on their circle of influence. They say, okay, my boss is difficult. I can't change him. But can I change my report to be bulletproof? Can I change how I react to his criticism? And by doing that, their influence starts to grow.
So habit 1 is you are the programmer. Stop blaming the computer. Which leads right into habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
If habit 1 is you are the programmer, then habit 2 is write the program.
And this is where Covey gets a little dark, the funeral test.
It is intense. He asks you to visualize your own funeral. You
Right.
walk into the room, you see yourself in the casket, and then you sit down and listen to the eulogies.
And not just what you hope they say.
No. What would they actually say about you if you died today? What do you want them to say? It forces you to see the gap between your daily life and your deepest values.
It's terrifying because it exposes all the contradictions. You know, if I'm working 80 hours a week to be a good provider, but my kid's eulogy would be, we never really knew him, then I have a huge problem.
That's his key image. You could be very efficient, climbing a ladder really fast, but if it's leaning against the wrong wall, you're just getting to the wrong place faster.
Wow. So habit 2 is about making sure you've got your ladder on the right wall. And that's where the personal mission statement comes in.
Yes, it's basically a personal constitution. You define what success looks like for you in your different roles, as a parent, a leader, a friend.
Okay, so we're in charge. That's habit 1. We know where we're going. That's habit 2. Now comes the part everyone struggles with. Habit 3, put first things first.
This is the execution, and this is where we get the famous time matrix.
I feel like everyone has seen this 4-quadrant grid, urgent versus important, but very few people actually live by it.
That's because we're addicted to urgency.
Walk us through the trap here.
So quadrant 1 is urgent and important. Crises, deadlines, a fire, you have to be here. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. This is the killer.
The ringing phone, the email notification, the coworker at your desk.
Exactly. It feels important because it's demanding your attention right now, but it doesn't actually contribute to your mission. We spend most of our lives bouncing between quadrant 1 crises and quadrant 3 distractions.
And then we escape to quadrant 4 doom scrolling, mindless TV because we're just burned out.
We are. But the effective people, they live in quadrant 2. Important, but not urgent.
That's the planning, the relationship building, exercise, learning.
And here's the insight that most people miss. They think, I don't have time for quadrant 2. I'm too busy putting out fires in quadrant 1. But the only way to shrink quadrant 1 is to spend more time in quadrant 2.
Wait, unpack that for me.
Think about it. If you ignore your health, that's quadrant 2. It's never urgent. You eventually have a heart attack, which is a quadrant 1 crisis. If you ignore building your relationship with your spouse, quadrant 2, you eventually end up in a major fight, another crisis.
So quadrant 2 is prevention.
It's the cure. It's the discipline to say no to the urgent, to make time for the important.
That hits home.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the private victory. We've mastered ourselves. Now, why can't I just stop there? I'm proactive. I have a mission. I'm organized. Why do I need anyone else?
Because unless you're a hermit on a mountain, your life involves other people, and they are the most unpredictable variables in the universe. Covey's point is that you literally cannot have effective relationships until you've sorted yourself out.
Why not?
Because relationships are built on trust. He calls it the emotional bank account. If I'm reactive, unreliable, and don't have my own priorities straight, if I haven't mastered habits 1, 2, and 3, I'm constantly making withdrawals from that account with you. I can't seek a win-win if I don't even know what a win looks like for me.
That makes a lot of sense. So this leads to the public victory. Habit 4, think win-win.
And we have to be careful because win-win has become this soft buzzword.
Right, it just sounds like compromise. Let's meet in the middle.
Covey actually dislikes compromise. That's 1 + 1 = 1.5. Everyone loses something. Win-win requires 2 things, courage and consideration.
And we usually think of those as opposites. You're either a shark, high courage, low consideration, or you're a doormat, low courage, high consideration.
That's the trap. The shark wins the battle but loses the war because they destroy the relationship. Win-win is high courage and high consideration.
So it's the courage to state, my needs clearly, but also the genuine consideration for what you need.
Yes. It's saying, I want to find a solution that works for both of us, and if we can't, then let's agree not to make a deal at all.
That no-deal option is so powerful, takes all the pressure off.
It changes everything. But to get to win-win, you first have to understand what the other person's win is, and that leads to habit 5. And I'll say it, this is the hardest habit in the entire book.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
It sounds so simple, just listen. But we don't.
Oh, I know I don't. When I'm in an argument, I'm not listening to understand. I'm listening for a flaw in your logic so I can jump in. I'm reloading my ammo.
We all do it. Covey calls it autobiographical listening. We filter everything through our own experience. Someone tells you a problem, and within seconds you're saying, oh, I know exactly what you mean. The same thing happened to me.
We just hijack the conversation and make it about us.
Right. We prescribe our own glasses for everyone else. Habit 5 is about empathic listening. It's listening with the sole intent of understanding the other person's frame of reference, both emotionally and intellectually.
The famous spouse scenario from the book illustrates this so well.
It does. A spouse says, you never have time for me anymore. The typical autobiographical response is defensive, right? What are you talking about? I work 60 hours a week for this family.
Which might be factually true, but it's completely tone-deaf to the emotion.
It ignores the feeling. An empathic response would be something like, it sounds like you're feeling lonely and ignored because I've been so focused on work. You reflect the emotion back until they feel heard.
It's like letting the air out of an emotional balloon. Only then can you actually start to solve the problem.
Precisely. And once you have that deep understanding and they feel it, you can move to habit 6. Synergize.
Okay, another word that's been ruined by corporate posters, synergy.
Yeah.
It just brings up images of trust falls and terrible team building exercises.
It does, but the real concept is so powerful. Synergy is what happens when you apply habits 4 and 5. It's when two people with different views respect each other so much that they create a third alternative, something better than what either of them came up with alone.
It's the 1 + 1 = 3 math.
Yes. And it relies on valuing differences. As Covey says, if two people have the same opinion, one of them is unnecessary.
That's a great line.
You don't want to be in an echo chamber. You need someone who sees the world differently but who you trust. That friction, when handled with respect, is where all creativity and innovation come from.
So we've rebuilt ourselves with the private victory. We've learned to build amazing relationships with the public victory. But we're still human. We get tired. We wear out.
Which brings us to the final habit, the one that holds it all together. Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
A woodcutter metaphor.
Yeah. A guy is sawing a tree. He's been at it for 5 hours. He's exhausted. The saw is dull. Someone walks by and says, hey, why don't you stop for a few minutes and sharpen your saw? And the guy just yells back, I can't. I'm too busy sawing.
That is modern life in a nutshell. We're too busy driving to stop for gas.
Habit 7 is the habit of renewal. It's about preserving and enhancing your greatest asset, you. And Covey breaks it into 4 dimensions: physical, mental, social, emotional, and spiritual.
And this isn't just take a vacation once a year.
No, it's consistent maintenance. Physical is exercise, nutrition, sleep. Mental is reading, learning, writing. Social, emotional is about investing in those key relationships. And spiritual.
That one can trip people up. It's not necessarily about religion, is it?
It can be, but it's really about connecting to your core value system. It could be meditation, time in nature, art, music. It's about remembering your why.
The big takeaway for me here is that this isn't a bonus habit. It's the one that makes all the others possible.
Exactly. You can't be proactive if you're burned out and sleep deprived. You can't practice empathic listening if you're emotionally spent. Habit 7 is what creates the upward spiral.
So when you step back and look at the whole system,
Yeah.
it really is an inside-out approach, isn't it?
That's the entire philosophy. We want the quick fix, the personality ethic trick, because it's easy. We want to change our circumstances, our boss, our spouse. But Covey says the only leverage you truly have is over yourself, your character, your habits.
You change your paradigm, your map, and your behavior changes naturally.
Right. You don't have to force yourself to act win-win. If you truly see the world as a place of abundance, you just are win-win. It flows from who you've become.
It's heavy stuff, but it's incredibly empowering. So I want to leave everyone listening with a challenge, and we're going back to the funeral test.
To it.
Take 10 minutes this week,
Oh.
a quiet room, and actually write down what you want the key people in your life to say about you. She was a great listener. He was always courageous. She was always there for us.
And then the hard part, pull up your calendar from last week.
That's the kicker. Does your calendar reflect your desired eulogy? If you want to be remembered as a present parent, but your calendar is 90% meetings and 10% distractions, there's a gap.
And that gap is where the real work begins. Don't look for a hack. Look for the habit.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next